Hey there, folks. Thanks for tuning in to another episode with me, Chris, here on Peregrine Outdoors. This is one video and a four-part series that I'm doing right now that has to do with me and my quest during the latter half of 2023 to find knives that were of exceptional value ratio. So knives that had low price points but still maintained very good feature sets. So quality materials, quality of craftsmanship, that kind of thing. And so these four videos are going to be kind of compare and contrast videos. Not sure the order in which they're going to come out, so I'm kind of just going to lay the groundwork in each one, and then we'll release them in whatever order sounds good to me at the time. Some house cleaning. First of all, I am aware that my tripod leg is in the shot. This particular tripod that I'm using and where I'm shooting this video, I would get a ton of, the only other way to set this up, there is a ton of shadow and you wouldn't be able to see the knives very well. So we kind of have to deal with that. I apologize if it's overly distracting. But again, going back to kind of the impetus of the video, right? So I think everybody in the last several years has been trying to find a way to stretch a buck. It's very difficult, as I think most people know who are into knife collecting, that when it comes to knife collecting, it can be a very expensive hobby. So and me personally, I just have a bad reputation for losing knives, lending knives and not getting them back, that kind of stuff. And so I've always kind of leaned towards that budget-friendly side of things. The most expensive folder that I own is around $100. Whereas there's people who don't really bat an eye at spending $200 or $300 on a folder. That's not me. I don't want to lose a $300 knife. It just doesn't seem like a very good proposition for me. So between wanting to kind of continue to stretch the buck as far as I can, it was also just kind of a challenge to try to find knives that had such high value ratios, as I'm calling it. So having that low price point, but also having good quality materials. Setting these up as kind of compare and contrast videos, there's going to be one knife that is a little bit higher in price point, and then there's going to be the lower price point knife, and I'm going to compare and contrast basic features. They're not going to be direct one-to-one. They're not going to have all of the same feature sets, just because it's not really how it works. But hopefully it will demonstrate whether or not the price break between those two knives is worth it for you to either opt for that more expensive knife or to go for that less expensive knife. So I'll start with both. I'm just going to give you the model names off the top. The more expensive price point item is going to be this guy right here. I pronounce this Ruike. I've heard it said many different ways. I pronounce it Ruike. So if that's wrong, I apologize, but that's how I pronounce it. So there's that, and this model is called the P-801. So I'm not sure this particular color scheme may be discontinued. I have seen these knives on Amazon still, but they're in a different color configuration. The less expensive of the two is this knife right here, which is by a company called Eafengrow, or at least that's how I pronounce it, spelled E-A-F-E-N-G-R-O-W. So to me, that says Eafengrow. Both of these companies are overseas imports, so they're both Chinese manufacturer, I believe. The Ruike may be Taiwan. Let me check if it says on it. No, it doesn't. But in any case, so they are both imported. Some people are going to be like, well, obviously you're going to find cheap knives from China. Okay, yeah, that is the way it works. Unfortunately, that is just how it is. So I'll talk a little bit about each of these just to compare and contrast the features, and then we'll go from there. So this, like the Ruike, Eafengrow doesn't have model names for their knives. They just have model numbers. So this is the EF-223. And then, as I said, this guy right here is the Ruike P-801. Similarities between the two, relatively similar in terms of the blade length. They might be just a couple decimals off, but they are very, very close. They are both flippers, and then they also, while not exactly the same, their locking mechanism is similar. The Ruike being a frame lock and the 223 being a liner lock. One big difference that you can see off the bat is that the Ruike is all metal, so it does not have any kind of plastic or micarta scales. It's not really a liner at all. It's just a frame, and fairly chunky in terms of the metal there, and so it is a little bit heavier. One other difference is that despite the fact that both of these are folders, the Ruike does come with a thumb stud, so if you want to open it with your thumb, you can. I buy flippers so I can use the flipper, so that doesn't really bother me that the EF-223 does not have that. Again, some of the similarities, one important one is that both of the blades are D2 tool steel. So for those who are not initiated, most people are going to understand what D2 is. It's a tool steel. It is not a stainless steel. Some people consider it semi-stainless because it does have some corrosion resistant properties. So it won't corrode the same as, say, 1095, 1075 or other high carbon steels, but they do corrode, and they have better wear resistance, and for in most cases a lot better wear retention than something like one of the other budget stainless steels, like an 8CR, 9CR, that kind of stuff. 420, 440, that kind of thing. So again, pretty similar in form and function. I'll go over kind of the likes and dislikes. I don't really have anything negative to say about the Ruike. The Ruike is very, very nice. Some people don't like the fact that it has raised pocket clip screws. I've never had any problems with them catching on anything, so I can't say that that has any negativity to it. One similarity between the two knives, and I'm not sure why that is, they both have very smooth actions. There's a little bit more friction to get the blade going on the Ruike, but it's still, once you get past that initial friction, it pops open super easily. But the similarity between the two that is kind of a negative is that when you go to close the blade, either because the flipper hits your thumb, or it does seem like there is some extra tension, or yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there, or extra friction to get past that frame lock. You it'll get to there, and then you have to give it a little push to get it closed. And the exact same thing happens with the Eafengrow. It stops in the same spot, and then you have to give it that extra little push on the spine. But that's not really that terrible. I can't say that it's a matter of wear, because I've had this Ruike for 5-6 years, and it has never gotten any easier to close. And I play with it all the time. And I don't know if that's going to be the case with the EF-223. I've had it for a couple months now, and I do play with it quite a bit, and it hasn't changed. So it may be permanent, may not. We don't know. Time will tell. Negativity on the on either, like I said, almost nothing negative to say about the Ruike. The EF-223, there are some sharper edges on the G10 on the handle scales. Obviously you can see some like strange machining choices that they did, probably just for cost saving situation. And then the big deal that's a negative with this guy is the pocket clip. The pocket clip is horrendous. It's just has so much tension on it. It's very difficult to get on and off the pocket. I have also some jeans that have like reinforced lips on the pockets, like doubled up fabric, and I pretty much can't carry this knife with them because of that. It does, going back to kind of positives, I just want to make sure I don't forget, centers well in the body of the knife, absolutely no play left or right or up and down. The Ruike is the same way in that regard. The pocket clip thing is kind of a big deal. I could see why that could deter people from purchasing this knife if there wasn't such a substantial price break between these two knives, and just such a high value ratio on the EF-223. I'm not sure if I said it already, but I believe I paid around $60 for the Ruike. I paid $19 for the EF-223. And I'll disclose, full disclosure, there was a $1 coupon at the time, so it's actually a $20 knife. So when we're talking about $20 for a knife, it makes things that would normally be pretty hard to forgive, like a bad pocket clip, pretty forgivable. If you're looking for a knife that's going to be, you know, say a beater knife, something that you don't mind loaning out to people and maybe you don't ever get back, a knife that even if you were to just pocket carry it because of the bad knife or because of the bad pocket clip, would still have a lot of value in it because of how low that price point is in comparison to the quality of materials. Like I said, D2 blade, G10 handle scales, a flipper that actually is very smooth. And then also, like I said, even after having it for a couple months, no play in the blade whatsoever. I think that makes it every bit worth the $20 that it would cost. Also available on Amazon for that price point. So I think the vast majority of people now have Amazon Prime, so that's 2 days free shipping, $20 for a very, very feature-rich and I would say high quality materials for that price point. I was very surprised that it was that cheap, and I absolutely thought it was going to be garbage, that the action was going to suck, or that it was going to get developed play in the lockup, you know, after just a couple days or whatever. And it has blown past my expectations in that regard. Very, very solid knife, particularly for that $20 price point. You know, when we're talking about $20 for a knife, we're talking about gas station knife price point. You know, the only thing, and gas station knives are awful. You know, they're made out of bad materials. You know, pot metal for essentially for the handles, for either the liners or the whole handle themselves. Really, really bad, cheap steel. And usually gimmicky things like glass breaks or built-in flashlights or seatbelt cutters and all this other garbage that really doesn't work. So to be able to get something for $20 with that feature set is really, really impressive. You know, the only thing in terms of price point that probably beats this are going to be some of the Ozark trail knives available at Walmart. But I've seen just catastrophic failures with those knives, and they don't in any way, shape, or form touch the quality of materials that the EF-223 has. It is not a luxury knife. There are drawbacks to it. I talked about the pocket clip, talked about some of the sharper edges on the G10 scales, but for $20, absolutely worth it. Great gift for someone who wants a decent knife, but you know, isn't going to buy one themselves or whatever the situation is. It does, like, aesthetically, it's a very nice looking knife. People would not be disappointed to have this, even with the bad pocket clip. So yeah, I definitely like this. It's also nice that it's available in a couple different color combinations. This is, you know, black G10 with a stonewash black finish on the blade. They have them in a satin finish for the metal work. I know for a fact they also have it in a red G10 and a blaze orange G10. There may be other colors, but those are the only ones that I'm aware of. And they all come in at the same price point. So there's options out there. I think this is a great option for people out there who are looking for a high value ratio knife for whatever reason. So those kind of rolls up my thoughts on these two knives. Again, not a dig on the more expensive price point knife. The Ruike is an excellent knife. I absolutely love it. But this is just to compare and contrast some of the similarities and differences, given how much less expensive the EF-223 is. So if you enjoyed the video, please consider liking the video, share it with your friends. If you are not already subscribed to Peregrine Outdoors, please consider subscribing. And even if you are already, please, I encourage you to hit the notification bell so you can be made aware of new content as it is released. I really am very, very grateful for you guys taking time out of your day to watch our videos. I can't wait to see you next time, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.